What's going on, guys? This is Blake, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the real reason why your content isn't attracting your ideal clients. So as I record this video for you right now, I just wrapped up a live interview and training with our content and copywriting coach inside our coaching program, Todd Foster. And we went over a few key elements around this topic that I wanted to kind of share a highlight for you and a highlight reel around the training itself, really emphasizing the four main pillars behind putting out content that actually starts to attract your ideal clients and drive warm inbound leads into your business itself. So the interview is actually streamed live here on the YouTube channel as well. Now, that was an hour-long interview, and in this video, we're gonna be kind of distilling down some of the key takeaways from that training to help you understand and implement these going forward. Point number one is knowing your audience, and once understanding your audience, going out and shifting those beliefs of your audience itself. So when it comes to putting out more purposeful, more high impact content that actually drives leads and sales, the first thing that we need to focus on is actually getting a deeper understanding of who it is that we're speaking to. Because without understanding this, we end up talking more about the product that we're selling, more about the information that we're selling, and less about the transformation itself. What we want to put an emphasis on is more on the transformation and less on the information. Now, there's a variety of ways that we can start to understand our ideal clients on a deeper level and really understand who we're speaking to on a deeper level. A few things that come to mind that I want to share with you on this video could be, number one, audience research questions. Going out to your audience and asking them questions around where they're at with their business, their goals, their challenges, their struggles around doing certain components within business that you teach. Things that you know that they're doing, maybe it's lead generation, maybe it's sales, maybe it's content. Asking questions around that to obtain and see where they feel about that topic, what they're struggling with, what they like about it, what they don't like about it, and understanding the language that they're using when they share that with you as well. And when they do give you a comment back to share with you what they don't like about it or what they're struggling with, go deeper with them in the comments. Ask them further questions. Try to obtain a little bit more information so you can get a deeper understanding of how you can support them and how you can speak to them on a deeper level. Along with that, another great place to go to obtain this information is to look in different forums, Facebook groups, Reddit. All of these places are filled with questions around exactly whatever niche that you're in. So look up keywords within your niche, and from there start to look backwards and see what questions people are asking, see what dialogue they're using, see the way that they're asking the questions, and see where they're getting stuck at within the process itself. Lastly, another great thing that you can do is just really be aware of whenever you're speaking to current clients, whenever you're speaking to someone on a sales call or on any call in general, could be a discovery call built around asking them audience research questions. As you're starting to ask questions on these calls, take notes of what they're sharing with you. Jot those down and start to look to see common trends within those. By us getting a deeper understanding of our audience, we're able to not only make more purposeful content, but we're also able to start to shift the beliefs of our audience members itself. For example, I know that many people in my space are dealing with a lead generation problem, or they feel that they're dealing with a lead generation problem, aka they're struggling to generate leads. But what they may not see on the surface is, yes, I'm struggling to generate leads, but in reality, what they may be struggling to do is actually put out real purposeful content to bring them more leads. So they don't really have a lead generation problem, they have a content problem. And if I can shift their belief on that and show them that within my content, that could open up their eyes to completely new avenues and opportunities to dial things in, align their process, and generate more leads, which in turn earns their trust. As we start to get a better understanding of who our audience is itself, what we can do to take things to the next level is start incorporating storytelling within our content. So rather than just telling people what to do and how to do it and listing off step-by-step guides and checklists or telling people step-by-step processes to do, a big thing that helped me with my content was shifting my mindset away from telling people what to do and more so talking about how I think about what I do. If we can flip to that lens and think about how we think about what we do within our business, we can start to tie that to stories along with that. We can start to think about breakthroughs that we've had on our journey and talking about our thought process behind it. And it can even get to the extent where we're watching TV shows, we're watching movies, we're going out for a walk. We hear things that pop up in our head and we have ideas randomly on the spot for new content on how we could take an instance that we're seeing in real life and tie that into a story around the way that we think about what we're doing within our business itself. So don't overcomplicate this. I know that may take some repetition to let that absorb in and really think about that, but I encourage you to think about this process as a whole and understanding that the more that we can talk to our audience in ways that we're sharing how we think about what we do, rather than just telling them what to do, the more they're able to relate to us, understand us, and actually be able to achieve a breakthrough from what we're putting out itself. Third, this one is going to be a really, really important one, especially for those of you in the beginning stages, and that's the mindset of selling versus serving. Oftentimes early on within content, that first stage is we're getting past the hump of being able to confidently hit publish and put out posts. It's easy to get into our heads at this point because we want to say the perfect thing. We want to put out the perfect piece of content that our audience resonates with. There's no such thing as a perfect piece of content. Imperfect action is really the key when it comes to all of this stuff and really developing and growing within being a creator itself in the online space. But more importantly, what we want to do to help make our content more purposeful and resonate with our people on a higher level and actually get them to read what we're saying is flipping our lens from content itself away from selling and towards serving. And this goes for content, this goes for conversations that you're having with prospects, and this even goes for sales calls as well. I know the end goal of business is to make sales, and the end goal of building an audience is to have an audience of people that trust you to make sales happen. But what we can't lose sight of is the fact that if we are constantly just trying to sell and we have an ulterior motive in mind with our content, every time we go out and put out a post, hoping that we'll get engagement, hoping that we'll get sales, if that outcome doesn't happen, it leads to disappointment internally, and it leads to us feeling like we're not good enough, or our audience doesn't like us, or questioning whatever it is that we're doing within our business itself. And this selling versus serving piece really comes into play with the final point that I want to make here on this video, and that's authenticity and alignment. So when we flip away of the lens of selling and more towards serving, we're now entering the lens of, I know that I need to earn the trust of my people, I need to provide value to them, and I need to build a relationship with them in order for them to want to purchase from me, because that's the core foundation of sales itself. The reason we're putting out content, the foundation behind all of it, is to build that know, like, trust factor, for people to become aware of you, for people to know you and like you, and then for people to trust you. Now, through that as well, in order to build deeper trust, in order to build deeper KLT, or the know, like, trust factor, it's going to be beneficial to flip in that lens of selling versus serving and focus more on serving, less on selling, and through all of that, focusing on authenticity and alignment. This is a big issue that I see within the niche of the online business world itself, especially when it comes to Facebook organic and putting out content, is many times we get tied to an ulterior motive because we want to make sales happen. And we feel like in order for us to make sales happen, we need to be like the bigger guys in the space. The guys that are at 10K, the guys that are at 15K, 20K, and up to 50K and beyond. So if we can talk in their language and model their content and start to let people know that we can help them achieve some large financial result in X amount of time, that will attract leads to us. But the point I'm trying to make is that if you're not at 10K, 20K, 30K, or 50K, there's no point in acting like you're there. The moment that we start acting and being someone that we're not is the moment that we start to become misaligned internally, which leads to us being misaligned with our content. And that causes a variety of problems in our content itself. It causes our audience to not trust us as much because they can see the fact that we are essentially lying about what we can do. It causes us to feel like we're putting out content that really we're not capable of backing up. And it leads to us kind of having a sour taste in our mouth around content itself. And again, I see this happen all the time. And I always like to remind my clients and even those inside my free Facebook group when we talk about this, the fact that we got to embrace ourselves. We got to stay in alignment with ourselves. Each and every one of you watching this video has a unique story that you can share with your audience. And it's our job to embrace that and to really enjoy that itself, because that's what makes us unique. That's what makes us stand out. And that's how we can build authority in the space, by embracing our story, by embracing our journey, and by sharing it authentically and imperfectly with our audience. So when it comes to content creation, the reason I want to make this video is to remind you of the foundation behind all of this. In order for you to be able to start generating more inbound leads, in order for you to escape sending cold messages and having to prospect in Messenger all day long, if you want to start having your content bring leads to you, if you want to start making sales on a 1-to-many ratio through your content, it starts with this foundation right here. Now, the reason I want to talk about this again is because many people neglect this foundation and they jump right into the strategies and the tactics that they think will lead to larger financial gains. We can't ignore this stuff. We have to embrace it. We have to become aligned with it. And when we do, now we're able to deploy what I like to call lead generation posts periodically along with this to generate influx of leads that actually trust us. Because all of this content that we're putting out before this with what we're talking about today, this storytelling, this belief shifting, this shifting the lens of serving versus selling and providing value, and doing that all within an internal alignment with ourselves. This is what is building that trust and awareness. As we build deeper trust and awareness with our audience and put out hooks within our content, now we're able to extract more people from our audience and get more people to raise their hand and say, hey, look, I've been following along with you for months now. Your stuff's really resonated with me. I really like your story. You've earned my trust. I want to buy from you now. And that's what happens. Now, for those of you that haven't heard yet, I hosted a Post to Close workshop just about a month and a half ago at this point, and we hosted our first live version. The results that were able to come out of this were pretty amazing and eye-opening to see. In this workshop, I shared basically the exact strategies that I've used to go from 0 to over 250K in revenue in just 18 months' time. Now, a lot of this was built upon these practices that we're talking about here, along with deploying my 4 proven post types and frameworks that drive hundreds of leads and sales practically on demand. But again, it starts with this foundation, but when you start to deploy these lead gen posts that I teach inside this Post to Close workshop, you're able to create an ecosystem that's constantly moving people from cold to warm to hot. People that were once unfamiliar with you, that are now familiar with you, that trust you and want to buy from you. And that's how we can create a 6-figure ecosystem that constantly is moving people from one phase to the next, allowing us to generate more leads, attract more ideal clients, and ultimately have more impact on people within our audience itself. Now, the Post to Close workshop doesn't just stop with content. The point of the Post to Close is showing you how to go from the Facebook post process or the content publishing process to a closed sale. So our content is doing nothing but creating easier conversations for us. It's creating conversations and creating easier entry points for us to actually be able to move that conversation to a sales opportunity and serve people in a faster way. Versus with a cold conversation, we're having to go from top to bottom. We're having to build the trust, get to know the person, move the conversation to business, and then try to sell them. And more than often, it doesn't work because it comes off pushy, slimy, and salesy. But when we can start creating this ecosystem within our content that's constantly moving people, and we understand how we can deploy lead gen posts and offer posts that pull people out of our audience that resonate with us, now we're able to regain control of our lead flow and not have to rely on cold DMs to make it happen. So inside this Post to Close workshop, we start by focusing on this first core element, content. Dialing this in, getting this in place, getting to the point where you no longer are running out of ideas for content, where you're feeling confident with what you're publishing. You know exactly what type of post to put out, and you know exactly what topics to write on itself. Along with that, we're then going to show you how to turn that content into qualified inbound leads and how to actually handle those conversations from top to bottom, from A to Z to close sale. So that's where the real benefit of this workshop comes into play. It's really focused on the 80-20 of business, leads and sales, and showing you how to create that ecosystem, how to drive qualified leads on demand, and how to convert those leads into paying customers within your business using our Pilot Messenger framework. So if you have not yet registered for our waitlist, right now, Post to Close is closed. Registration is closed at this time. We will be opening up 2.0 very soon. We're going to be highlighting new components of training, emphasizing more components on these types of posts that we're talking about today, nurture content, storytelling, all of this stuff that really allows that ecosystem to basically go to another level. And along with that, we're keeping the strategies that have worked so well, not just for myself, but for many of the members that attended the first live workshop on top of that as well. So if you have not yet registered for the waitlist, I highly encourage you to do so. You can click the link in the description below, join the waitlist, and you will be the first to find out and be the VIP access to getting into Post to Close 2.0 as soon as it releases. Aside from joining the Post to Close waitlist and being the first to know when the details come out on what's to come inside this workshop, here at the end of this video, I'm going to link 2 other videos that I think will be beneficial to you on this topic of content creation. So be sure to check those out. And before you go, if you have not yet already, be sure to click that subscribe button below and hit the bell icon next to it. That way you're not missing out on any future content that we drop for you on this channel. And with that said, thanks again for everyone that watched today, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.